started. You want to take a look at little Mashuki and Umi? Say hello to them. Yeah, and guess what? Just as I got on here, I actually went up, I'd like to say I went up to Canada, but I went to the Canadian border, so I was almost in Canada. But check out the snow coming down. Let's see, we'll do like this. See if you can see it. No, I guess you can't. And I don't think you can see it over here. No, you should be able to see it here. Let's try it again, guys. Let's try it again because it's super pretty. You see the snow coming down, guys? Now, about an hour ago, it was kind of like a little rainy, spitting a little bit of snow. Is that just lovely? Look at that. Is that just lovely? So I'm going to try to get some more video when it's snowing over on my side channel, Vermont Sun and Shade. So I just came on here today because I wanted to update you and do a couple of projects like with you. And a couple things. We had the wonderful felting class, flat felting class the other day. And Thursday, and that went beautifully. Now to update you, there are just a few seats, I guess, available for the next class, which is coming up super soon because, sorry about my cup here, I've been walking around with it and it spills over the side there. But the next felting class at Morrisville, in Morrisville, Vermont, at River Arts, is coming up really quickly on December 4th. So come join us. That's just a couple of Thursdays away. It's a Thursday after Thanksgiving. It's going to be super fun because it's going to be easy. We're going to make felted ornaments or little baubles, and then we're going to decorate them. So a good part of the class you'll be able to decorate and talk, and I may even bring some snacks like donuts and whatnot, but I have to ask the coordinator if that's okay to do. But we'll be on site there at River Arts, and so they have coffee maker. We can make our own coffee or bring our coffee because they have a nice big kitchen. So the place that we were at this past Thursday was a little small. It was at the library, but it was fine and wonderful, and they were sweet as pie. The class actually set up all the tables for me, so that was super sweet. So for those of you who missed it the other day, what I made is samples just really quickly, and then we're going to get into kind of doing some work here. This is a cut out heart. I'm going to show you the back because the back of it you can cut out also a heart shape and cover it. Now you see how this is kind of like it's 2D is what they call it, right? You see the back? You could cover that with like a piece of cloth or felt or more wool actually. Hi Alex and Mason, how are you guys today? How's everyone today out there? How are you? I showed you the snow coming down here. And you know how you can smell like rain in the air or snow? Do you know what I mean? I could tell that absolutely, unequivocally in the last day. Even though they're saying we're not going to get any snow, I could tell we were going to get it. So anyway, I brought this as a sample. And and I'm going to tell you what I told the class. So when you needle felt your wool around here, and then you put your first layer onto your heart or whatnot, you're needle felting it in. Anything that as you start to build, like this thick, when it gets this thick, you're needle felting into the wool more than you are into the back. Now the only reason you don't see this particular one like this, with everything with the wool being poked through the back, see, is because I kind of did my first layer focusing on needle felting it around. It's almost like stitching around the edges. When you do it like this, you can stitch around the edges. And then, yes, ideally these should all be poked through, and then you can build up like this. This sun, I was showing them in class. You see how it's kind of, it's 2D. It's kind of jumping off of the canvas a little bit there, you see? And that's because that's layered. So you see the layers coming through only to a certain point, because when it gets, you get 3 or 4 or 5 layers, guess what? You're needle felting into those. You want your piece to be puffy. Don't needle felt all of the layers flat into your base, because then you lose this effect. So you want to go very gently and just kind of evenly keep adding your little cobwebs or your little splays of wool. And before you know it, it's built up like this. So that's what we were doing in the class. And I was just using these as sample pieces where they could add more lines to their mountains or their landscape or whatever it is that they're doing. But the key to your flat felting is just putting on your very thin layers first, and then another thin and another thin. And then, oh, I don't have the piece with me that I have all fabric, but then you can start adding fabrics like this. So guess what? We are going to do a piece that essentially is going to be flat felting first, and that's a bowl. And I say that because there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can kind of, I kind of shape it like pottery as I'm going. But to initially begin this piece, a bowl like this or like this, this is a little mouse in here. What I do is I start the piece out as a flat, round piece. So that's what we're gonna do. And, okay, so we're gonna do that. And then the next thing, I don't know if I'll do it right in this video. We'll see our timing. But the next thing I want to do is, let me get these for you, is if you remember, we were working on hats. Now, you probably say, well, Carmella, why did you fall off the radar? But I didn't really fall off the radar. So what happened is a couple of things. Between work and the storm that we got, and it just is, and I think I was talking about this on here, the snow was very light, but I was shoveling, and really, between that and work, got me super tired. I mean, I can't even explain. So where I would normally just kind of jump on here for half an hour, you know, after work, I couldn't do it. So I couldn't do it. And now, some days are better than others. Now, as you get older, that's the way it is. I'm telling you right now. And then older you get, you need more days to rest than not. Anyway, I just thought I'd add that in there. And this is such a good cup of coffee. You know, I love a Saturday where I can just really focus on creativity, and today's that day. And I'm bringing you with me. So you remember, we were doing our hats. Now this hat I had done previously, but I decided I'm going to donate that to Jamaica. Okay, this one's going to Jamaica. So both of these need flowers. Let me tell you something about the, whether it's black, navy blue, or dark gray, these hats pop when you put a flower on that's just a teeny tiny bit contrast. It could be earth tone or it can be vibrant. It doesn't matter. The black hat is so classic. It's so beautiful. I can't even stand it. Okay, so this one I still need to sew this flower onto this hat. Okay? But this flower is really big, and I made it big on purpose so you could see how that kind of looks. on the hat. Hi, Nathaniel. Hi, I didn't get to see the name there. It kind of disappears fast. So these flowers are already sewn onto our hats for Jamaica. These hats are going to Jamaica. I have to go to the post office at some point this week before Thanksgiving, and I'm going to bring the hats. And I have a shoe box that I plan to put them in. And I have a couple of different boxes. I'm going to try to get the smaller box because, as you know, things have added up. These I do have a scale, but I haven't put them on the scale. But the last time I was weighing hats and selling them, I was selling them like on Macari, mainly Macari. They were coming out, I want to say about 8 ounces, about a half a pound. They were about 8 ounces. So maybe 6 ounces sometimes. So you got to figure if you have 4 hats, that's going to be a couple of pounds. And then the box will probably be probably 8, 9 ounces also. So this is another hat. This flower is kind of close to the brim, but I kind of like it like that. So I'm going to leave it like that. So those are our hats for Jamaica, okay? So I need to continue this project. So today, after we make a bowl, and you're probably saying, well, why are you making, oh, and these are going to go too. So those will go too. So we'll figure out what I'm sending. So I'm making another bowl because I want to make it primarily pink. And I had brought extra bags with me. I'm going to change this. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear it. I put Christmas music on for the birds and traditional so they can learn. Believe it or not, they will learn the melody. They will recognize it. I kid you not. I don't know which bird video I'm pulling up when I'm pulling up these bird videos. And they tell me, the ones that they know, they may not chirp to. The ones that they don't know, they're like singing because it's like a brand new song. They are the cutest darn little things, honest to God. So I've got Christmas music on for them. Okay, so with that, I have this bag of wool, mixed wool and whatnot that I brought to the class. So what I want to do is pull out some of the pink, or I'm going to pull out all of the pink, because when I send the store, there's a couple of stores, actually there's a couple, that I'm going to be, I believe anyway, putting my art in. And we do need to get back up to the Milton Artists Guild. Because I'm living so far away from it right now is the reason I've been more absent from there. So we will in the spring be closer again in that area. We will. Definitely for the summer. There's no way we're another winter way up here because it's too far. It's just too far. I love it up here. Listen, I gotta tell you, the countryside up here is phenomenal. You cannot beat the beauty. As an artist, like I was telling you, I took to get my coffee. I poured it in here. So I drove 5 minutes literally up the street to the Canadian border. And as I was driving, there's a couple of places there if you stop, and there's no place really to stop, but if you stopped, you would see the mountains rolling, and they're kind of, as an artist, you would see the lines. One mountain's rolling like that, and another one is rolling into it. Something almost like, did I even put it on here? Yeah. No, I didn't really put it on here. No. But the mountains are going like that. If you've ever seen landscapes, that's That's the landscape up here, like right in front of you, not at a distance. You're not seeing like Smuggler's Notch or J Peak or what at a distance. You're seeing it like right in front of you, basically. Okay, so with that, um, I will be working on getting closer, okay, to the other art venues. So with that, I'm going to turn this around so you can see, okay, because what I want to do, I'm going to make the lid last, and I may not make that in the video because I want to, I guess I was going to crochet like another flower or something with you. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just see where this takes us. But I'm going to do the circle for the bowl first. So the way I'm going to do this, and today, just to let you know, just to show you and share with you, I want to add to the bowl this, you see this sweater material right here? This is lovely, lovely, lovely. This has Angora in it. Is the tag on this side? No, but it has some organic fibers in it, okay? And so what we're gonna do is just start with, now if you have, for those of you who have difficulty and you're like, well, wait a minute, I can't just make a circle. You can cut out a circle, okay? And then you can place your wool on it like that. Just kind of place it onto your circle. And here, I'll use this as an example, only this is not big enough. That's not big enough. But you place it on the circle, and then what you do essentially is just turn it over and take your little tracing cardboard or whatever you had off. And then you're laying your wool down, and it's a perfect circle. Oh, look, you can go like this. Look. Easy peasy. So I want this to be, what I want to do with this particular store owner, and I meant to get to her way sooner. Hopefully I'm not too late getting to her. Time is going by so fast, guys, though. It really, honest to God, it is. I cannot believe it's December, like next week. Next week, okay, Thursday, I get it. Next week, this week is coming up as the end of November, but then we're right into December. Okay, so what I did, you saw me pull it apart, I'm splaying it. So your fibers are going all different directions. I couldn't explain this more to my class every time I teach. And the reason, the reason I do not like roving, this right here. Here, let me just show you for a minute. For those of you who are needle felting artists, you've heard me say this many times if you've been following me. And this is not at all to take away from those who sell roving. Roving is a lovely, but I believe specifically for the surface of the design, canvas, maybe lid or whatever it is you're creating, I believe the raw wool is the best to build whatever it is you're building the core of your little mouse, your bear, sculptures, whatever you're doing. I believe to build them from your raw wool first, and then use it. And why am I saying that? Because look, a couple of things. This is all going the same direction. Now when that happens in your needle felt, it goes nowhere. It takes layer after layer after layer after layer to build up because of that, because it's flat. Plus roving takes a long time for people to make, and it's expensive because of it and because they dye it. The raw wool, whatever you're building, your sculpture, if you build the core of it or the base of your canvas flat pieces with raw wool first, and then wait and use your roving to for your edging, your lines, your shading, whatever it is you're doing, your layering. This is what you use roving for. But if you use roving for the body of what it is you're making, you're going to spend a lot of money and time and a lot of this wool before you get to where you want to be. So anyway, I just wanted to add that because I do know everyone says, yeah, use roving, but it's not an absolute is what I'm saying. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start this bowl. Okay, so I have essentially around, this is going to be a small one. I'm going to leave it this size right here because I'm loving this right now. I want to start making bowls for Valentine's Day. So you're like, oh my God, Carmella, you're skipping Christmas. What is wrong with you? And no, I'm not skipping Christmas, but I am definitely getting ready for Valentine's Day because guess what? I always miss it. Always, always, every single year, because I'm always focusing on Christmas. And this year, I had to make a conscious decision not to go to the art and craft fair. I had a lot of factors involved there. So I didn't go. And I paid for it, but I donated my pay space. So I felt really good about that. Because it just was meant for another artist to be there. I believe that. There were just too many obstacles for me to get there this year. So now what I'm doing is focusing. If I get my little bowls into a store, guess what? I can have a dozen of my tiny little bowls ready for Valentine's Day. And somebody may want to give their loved one a little present of a bowl. And with them being small, they're affordable, so they stay within a nice little range. Nowadays that's super important because guess what? Wool has gone up too. Everything's gone up. So you see how I'm just lifting it and then turning. I'm gonna show you some techniques that I showed the class the other day. So you use your felting needle as a tool. Kind of use it to push, and they make all this edging. If you're doing it from like the inside out, you're creating an edge. So I'm just using it to push. I'm keeping this well above the surface. If you put this too close to the surface, the tip of your felting needle may break. Chances are it could break very easily. Hi, little Omi and Mashuki. I'm saying hi to my birds. So, okay. So this is flat needle felting. That's what this is. This is flat. Make sure you can see it. Sorry about that. So can everybody see that? So it's flat felting. And this is not a really thick layer. This was kind of a small amount of wool. But now I'm going to lift it, and I'm lifting it, you see, with two hands, because if you pull it with one, you probably get a hole, it may pull apart from it, so you're trying to keep it all together. It's the same when you do wet felting. You see the holes in there? You can see it's a very light layer of wool. Okay, that's a light layer. So I'm just kind of adhering all of these little fibers before I add any more. Now the difference between this being technically, as you know, flat felting onto a canvas is exactly that. It's not onto a canvas. It's just a piece of flat felting wool. You're needle felting it in a flat manner. You're not shaping it into a mouse or anything else like that. But your flat felting will become totally a shaped in a 3D, 2D shape, item, or whatever it is you're making. This is 3D, so if you end up making, I was thinking make some little bowls, like this, and put little ears and put like a little face on a cat and kind of like that, like for a cat. or just people who love cats. So I'm just kind of shaping this into a round shape as best I can. And I'm using, now one thing you see me doing, I'm kind of putting that on an angle. That is actually a big no-no. What I should be doing is keeping it straight, because when you needle felt, you want it straight up and down, up and down. So I should be taking my needle and pushing it like that, and then grabbing the edge and needle felting. I shouldn't be doing this. However, what happens is after you're doing this a really long time, you do kind of, I want to say just, you do kind of break some of the rules. You take the risk, but that could break. And it does sometimes. It does. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit more, and I'm focusing now on these areas that are all spacey and holy. You see the holes? So I'm going to kind of put a little web over that area. And you notice how I keep pulling it. I'm doing it so quickly that you may not notice, but I'm splaying this. And I'm keeping it a nice thin layer. And because I want this to be nice, I want it to be solidified. I want it to be, nice. And I'm not shaping it into the bowl yet, because I want the flat piece to be nice and solid and firm. It's got to be, the fibers have to be adhering really, really well. So how many of you out there are needle felting? Are you needle felting artists? Who's out there? Let's see, Nathaniel, Alex, Mason. Are you my superstars out there? You my superstar needle felters? And let's see, who's this here? Trevin Hudson. Hi, how are you? Welcome. We create with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies, and also organic fabrics to give our earth a little hug. So we're needle felting this, and we want to get it to a point where it's nice and solid, so we can do something like this. We can sew around the edge if we want. We can add more fabric around the edge. We can do different things to it. We can add beads. We can do beading. So the key is when you're needle felting it like this, and yes, you could needle felt this entire piece onto like this, like a piece of felt. You could. But then you have a whole different dynamic going on when you're shaping your bowl. Completely different. And I think a little more difficult. So this I like to do freehand. But yes, you can definitely cut. Now, let me show you a technique here, if you can see this. So one of the things you can do is a technique called sweeping. So sweeping is when you have little pivots and you have little spaces, you sweep over very gently with the tip of your felting needle. You sweep a piece of the wool over. You see how I just moved this piece of wool over a little bit, because I want to needle felt that space in. So that's called sweeping. And usually sweeping is done when you're really finishing up whatever it is, your little sculpture, your little bowl, whatever, and it has divots or pivots in it, little holes that you see from the needle. That's very common. And what a lot of artists will do for the teeny tiny holes is they'll just sweep a teeny tiny bit of wool over, and then they won't needle felt, like they won't push the needle in anymore onto the surface, because you're trying to smooth out your surface. So now I just turn this over and I'm looking at it. Okay, it's looking like a pretty decent kind of circle. Now, if, for example, you don't use a tracer to make your circle, and you're kind of going like this, and you're like, well, wait a minute, and then you're shaping it, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I don't like the way these edges of the bowl look. Now for me, I kind of like some unevenness if I can get it. If it's too much and I don't like it and I don't feel it's artistic, you can trim it. You can trim all around this if you want to. And then you can needle felt the edges again. The key is you want to keep the needle straight up and down, because when you start moving pieces around, sometimes you're angling the felting needle too much and then it ends up breaking. So now I have more to add to this, but I'm kind of using, look, I just want to show you. I'm staying on the surface and I'm using some of my sweeping technique to pull in and over some of the wool, okay? And that's one technique. Okay, that helps you. That's how you can use your needle felting needle to make more effects. Okay, so now I'm going to use both hands to lift it up because it's starting to adhere. Now right here I still have pretty much of a space, so I'm going to focus on that. Now I really like that space because I kind of want to take the opportunity to fill it with some purple. Now I had one lady in class, she had some of this type of wool. I was trying to make sure everybody had some of this. And she goes, Carmella, can I leave it like that and needle felt it in? I'm like, absolutely. So that's creating texture, it's creating aesthetic, you're designing your piece. So I'm going to pull this teeny tiny little piece apart and I'm going to add it to my bowl. Now I'm going to start adding some different colors to my bowl and on both sides. And because I'm anticipating this is what I'm anticipating, is a marbling effect of different colors. So that's what I want. But I want to focus on the pink and the purple for Valentine's Day. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to check that out. I'm going to say, okay, that's looking better, but I still have cracks and spaces. Let me tell you something, the spaces, you can leave them for aesthetics, like the wabi-sabi concept where they're taking something broken and then like they put it back together like the bowl, like ceramic bowls. But you know what some of them do? They'll leave like a large area of it that's broken, that space, and they'll use that space for just either leave it or use it for another design. It's beautiful. I love, 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 love it. I can't even express enough. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you something else. So I also have a wool yarn. So you need at least 60% of wool in this yarn, okay? So just like the sweater, I want to use a little of the spring green. And so I'll be needle felting this in shortly. But I want to focus on my pretty purples and pinks first. And I want to kind of take a good look at my edges and make sure that they're needle felted well before I start shaping this. And we'll be shaping it shortly. So I'm going to go on this side. Now when I add this green, okay, the green sweater, this beautiful, beautiful, it was green sweater, this is going to create more of a thickness to the bowl. So that's a very nice way to add thickness. Now with this, what I'd like to do, see this part here, I want to cut that. I want to cut this because look, I want to use this after. And look, I'm using this little bowl as a little catch-all for me right now. And I'm just going to pull this apart, the little curly cues. And I'm just going to focus on adding the purple on this side. And then I'm going to start pretty soon shaping. This is all in real time. So it doesn't take too long, but it takes long enough where, you know, you could spend a really long time. I end up spending a long time on these because, first of all, I enjoy the process and I love the aesthetics of the little needle felted bowls. And I love it so much that this is one item along with miniature items, if we can figure out how to make them, I will be adding to a little website or WhatsApp. I think I might use WhatsApp. So, so this is what it's looking like so far. So we have a little more work to do. Now, if you look, if you might not be able to notice it, but it's getting puffy, and that's because we've been adding layers. So now I'm looking here at my edges. So I'm still working on my layers, and that's okay. It takes a little bit, and that's totally fine. Now, you can play around with pieces like this after you have a few layers down. You can add some pieces like this. So this already has layers in it. It's a bunch of fibers. I'm not pulling it apart. But the reason you want to wait till you have some layers down is because this needs something to needle felt into, because it's already layered. You see the little curly cues? So this is what I'm going to do. I like this so much. So I'm going to bring part of that up there. And I just kind of want to swing. I want to take that one. And I kind of want to swing this one around here. And I just kind of want to put that on my edge there and add it to make the edge of my bowl a little bit stronger. So this is lovely. This is just absolutely adorable. And with a bowl, you don't want the bowl so, or I mean you can if it's an aesthetic, but you don't want it so thin that, you know, you're gifting it to someone or you're going to sell it and they're like, gosh, I can't even put a piece of felt in it because there's no bottom. You want a bottom, you want the inside, you want it nice to the point where, you know, they pick it up and they can put buttons in it, they can put some pennies, you know, maybe they hold little feathers in there, or maybe they're miniaturists, they're miniature artists. And they want a little bowl like that to put their little pieces of fabrics for their things, for their little villages. Because these miniaturists nowadays, here, I'm going to put this up so I can talk to you. And I'll continue to work. Maybe we'll do like this. So the miniaturists, they make villages. They make sci-fi, like alien sites, miniature, like they make replicas of castles. It's not just doll houses anymore, is what I'm trying to say. It's not just doll houses. So I wanted to share that with you. Sorry about that. Okay, so this, I just want to show you something. And then I want to show you how you can use the yarn to add to this. So, oh look, we could even make a little heart in there if we wanted to. It's kind of almost looking like I could play around with that, the shaping of that a little bit more. So the thing of it is this is going to be a bowl. So it's coming up like this. So now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, it looks pretty darn good, except for this little area. So I'm going to add a little bit more wool right here, and I've done some beautiful layering. So the very next step, what we're going to do is add our little fabric to it. So, and we can make little flowers on this. It's very little, but we can, I need to splay this a little bit more and get a little bit more wool. So I'm splaying the wool. and then I'm adding it on the area of my little circle that is going to be a little bowl pretty soon. I'm adding it to that area that's so thin that it's not going to hold when I shape it. So that's what you want to be looking at. And we're going to make little eggs, needle felted eggs. We're going to make a bunch of little things here because, and one thing you want to remember, you can apply Boro Sashiko inspired method to needle felting. Let me get here, let me put this up. I just want to get this because I want to show it to you while I'm thinking of it. So hold on 1 second. Okay, do you remember our beautiful, beautiful Boro Sashiko inspired needle felted polar bear and her baby that I did for Jericho exhibit? You see can you see the fabric needle felted into the mother bear, you see? Do you see it? So it was a statement piece, you see it? So it's a statement piece. That's what this is. And this was on exhibit. So this is the earth over here. And this is a little, and I had showed you at the time. On this side of the wood, this is a polar bear at crossroads is what I called it. Because if she goes this way, over this way with her baby, it's barren land because everything that has melted over there, you're not going to have fruit yet on the trees and food and stuff like that. If she goes over this way, everything's melting. And when things are melting and causing floods and, they're not able to get their food. So that's what's happening. These are the icebergs that are melting. And then you see the little sea lion right there, and then she's here with her baby right here. So the reason I'm showing you this, you see, I needle felted fabric into my beautiful polar bear. Okay, so I'm going to make more polar bears. We're going to make more, and we'll get those on WhatsApp too. But we're focusing on these bowls right now. Okay, so if you are needle felting out there and you have questions about your wool, about the process, let me know. So, but you see how fast we're doing this. It's really in real time. And not to say go fast. If you go too fast in something like this, it won't felt adequately. And the reason is the barbs on the felting needle need a chance to hook in with the barbs on the natural fibers and tangle everything up and hook it all up. Because if you don't allow that, if you go too fast, it just won't hook. It won't. So I'm doing this a little bit quick at the end when I know things are already adhered. Now, I'm going to show you. I'm just sharing all this with you because you can see shortly what this piece looks like when it's ready to be shaped. Okay, flat felting. Okay, you see this? This is better. This is ready to be shaped. And I could even work on this area a little bit right here. You see it? You can see through a little bit right there. So I'm going to add one more little piece there. And the other thing, when I start shaping it and I start adding my fabrics, I'm going to pay attention to where my thin areas are, because I can use my fibers, my fabrics, my scrap fabrics and wool and cottons to reinforce these thin areas, so to thicken them up also. So that's another way, and you can do that. Now the other thing you can do when you're working up here near the edge, because you know it's going to be the edge of your bowl, and you just kind of envision it a little bit, just hold, you know, kind of just bring it up like this a tiny bit, and that way you can see your edges, what they're looking like. And right here, if we want to, we can just fold them over, or we can leave them tapered, and we can play around with those a little bit. And we're going to get a better idea on what all of that looks like once we shape it up a little bit, okay? Now, I really do want this fabric to be part of my piece. So I only need a little bit of this, but I want this kind of going throughout the piece because it's very pretty. And what I could do, this could be like a stem, okay? So this is a very small piece, but this is going to be the outside. So maybe I put a little stem, maybe I put a little piece of this out here, like that, and I take a little bit of the pink and just splay it over enough so that I have something to needle felt the fibers catch the sweater and help it needle felt in. Now the sweater being a little bit of organic fibers, it will needle felt in, but you want to adhere it well. So you kind of always want your little cobweb placed over your fabric. If you try to just needle felt the fabric because you're like, hey, it's all wool, Carmella, it should just needle felt. But you need the connecting fibers, just like when you're doing sewing with thread, sewing and thread. So this is your needle, and your wool splays are your threads. Okay, so this looks lovely. And I like to make sure my fibers are very well into my piece. So I do this side also. Yeah, there it is right there. I just want to make sure my fibers are adhered on both sides. This is lovely. Okay. And what I'd like to do is kind of like a little flower. So I was saving this piece here. So what I'm going to do, this is where we're going to make this 3D. There's not a heck of a lot of fiber here, but I'm just going to place it, and then I want to put a little bit of splay over it. And adhere it, so I have a little texture coming out, and I have a little flower. You see it? I'm going to hold it up so you can see. You see the little flower? And that's just from very simple needle felting. Now, on this side, I see the wool fibers coming straight through. So I'm going to take my felting needle and just kind of push them over a little and needle felt them in also. There. So I smoothed it out a little bit. Okay. Now, see that? Oh, you hear my little birds singing? What you saying? They're singing to the Christmas music. What you saying, Umi and Mashuki? You like that song? Can you see the snow through the window, guys? It's still snowing out there. I mean, the weather is inspirational. What can I say? Hi, Maya Lopez. Hi, how are you guys? How is everyone today? I hope you're having a beautiful Saturday. We are getting ready to shape our bowl. And if you're out there working along with me, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help you. So this is what the little flower looks like, and it's on the outside. So we know it's going to be, when we bring the bowl up, it's going to just kind of, a little bit of it's going to show, and that's okay. But when someone picks it up and they look at it, maybe they see the stem. Now you can also design as you go along. You do not have to do everything before you shape the bowl. You do not have to do everything. So right now we're going to shape, okay? So I'm just going to do this freehand. I'm just going to fold. I don't know if you saw that. I'm just taking this piece and kind of folding it so it's coming up a little bit. It has a little bit of an edge there, and it's given me a bowl shape. Now, the thing of it is, you don't want to take your needle and start trying to do that. You don't want to do that because you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to possibly break the needle. So you're going to take your piece. I got to take my piece and turn it towards me. I got to turn this towards me, and I'm going to needle felt it up and down. And then I'll turn it around so you can see when it catches a few. Okay. So here it's caught a few, and I'm just going the up and down motion, and I'm focusing on the fold, because the fold is what I'm sewing. That's what I'm sewing. I'm gathering, I'm pulling together. So I want to make sure that those, and I'm using the tip of my felting needle to fold over some edge there a little bit, which I do not have to do right now. I can leave it tapered and just leave it. But I want to do that. And now I'm going to lift it gently. You see? Can you see already how you start to get the curve? So I'm just turning it again. It's almost like pottery, you know what I mean? And you're going to see some unevenness, and that's going to be totally fine. So I'm going to fold it again. You see the fold? You see the fold? So let me see if I can do it this way. I'm kind of doing it a little backwards, but there we go. I have to turn it towards me for a moment, just because I'm not getting a good angle on it here. And I'm needle felting it, my little folds together. You see? It's becoming a bowl. And I'm gonna, the other thing you can make, when you make a flat piece like this, you can make it into an envelope. You can make it into a triangle. You can make it into a flower. You can cut it into something. Seriously, that's how you can do this. Okay, so I did these two sides, and now I'm going to fold this right here. And I've got to turn it towards me for a moment. Or well, maybe I can do it this way. But I can't see, so I have to turn it towards me. And I'm just needle felting the folds. I'm just jabbing the wool, needle felting the folds together. I'm shaping, and then I'm going to start focusing on shaping. Okay, so you see how this is coming along already? Look at that, look at that. Is that just too cute? Okay, so over here, I feel like I need to just fold it a tiny bit, and then I'm going to take a closer look at this. Okay, so I'm just turning it towards me, and I'm just needle felting the inside a little bit. I didn't really fold it because I'm not sure it needs a fold there. This is adorable. Really cute. So now this, before I fold, I am going to fold that, but before I do, I just want to show you. You see kind of the little tapering that I'm talking about here, and some of the unevenness. Well, part of it I had folded over already. Okay, I did that already. That's all right. So you can either fold it over a little bit here now. We can do that. See, I'm going to do that so you can see. I'm using the tip of my needle to kind of fold it and needle felt it in. This is all in real time. How long have we been on here? Oh, okay, almost an hour. That makes sense. I hope this inspires you. You can do this if you have an old sweater, but your sweater needs to be, if you get it at the thrift shop, check the, I want to get some at the thrift shop too, but check the tag and make sure it's at least 60% wool. A lot of the sweaters at the thrift shop, I'm noticing, are extremely beautiful, like just gorgeous. But they're knitted, hand knitted, and in 100% wool, and they're scratchy, itchy. But if you put them over like a turtleneck or something, they would just be so warm because wool is extremely warm. Okay, so now I needle felted that a little bit. You can see the fold. This needs to be felted more. So what I'm going to do is turn it so I can see it really well. And I want that felted more. So you can turn this inside out if you want to, or you can just kind of move it like that. You see how I'm just moving it? And because I'm still shaping it, so I can move it in different. And there's many different ways to do this. I personally just like to see the aesthetic of me shaping it. Okay, and then you see your fibers coming through, you know it's adhered pretty well. So this, what I'm going to do is put a little splay over that fold. So I'm taking a little splay right here, and I'm putting it over the fold. Now this is where things like moldings come in really, really well. And I'm going to go get one and show you. So I'll be right back on what I mean. Okay, sorry about that. I had moved some things around. So when you have a mold is what I should say, you're using this to help you shape something. Okay, so in this case, like I said, I shaped this freehand. So to get more of a round shape to it, I can put the mold inside and turn this around. And then now this will help me to get my folds a little bit better, and it will help me see my edging a little better. So I have something now that is holding my bowl, okay? So what I'm going to do is put that like that and get a little splay. And I still want to add some of my sweater, or some of these sweater. It wasn't mine, I got it at the thrift shop. Now with this, you want to be careful, because if your mold, which I recommend it to be fill, like made from fill, but if it's not, and it's wool, it's going to adhere a tiny bit. So just after you do a few of your needle felting stitches, then you want to lift it. You want to lift your piece from it, because you don't want to needle felt your piece completely to the mold. And if you do, you can certainly pull it apart. So I'm just lifting it gently, and you see it starting to shape on the inside. But I want to add, look at that. Is that just not too adorable? Just check that out. I mean, this is so cute. Now, the other thing you can do is turn it inside out and make sure you're getting the inside of your bowl shaped also. So, and adhered with your needle felting. And now, so this is the inside. So what I want to do before I focus on my edges, I do my edges kind of last, is I want to take some more of the sweater, and now I want to take some of my wool strands here, and maybe just a little teeny tiny bit of roving. Okay, and just kind of get these all on the inside because I want to make a nice design on the inside of my bowl. And I'm using my pink wool, my pink splay, very light layers. And I'm just going to start needle felting them to the bowl. Getting my little nets of wool. And because I'm adding fabric and wool strands, I want to make sure that I have enough to hold them in place. So I'm going to take a nice little, very thin piece of a roving. That's how I use the roving, is on the top of layers. I do not use them for layering because unless there's something specifically you want them to highlight or shade. But I also find the raw wool is really good for that. So I'm just lifting this because that is wool. And I'm going to turn this so I can see it a little better. And I want a little bit of white in there. And I'm not making any specific design. I'm just making for the holidays. I'm starting to get ideas, and I'm be putting little hearts in these bowls. So that would be the last thing I do because I want the heart to show really well. But I'm shaping the bowl as I go along. And the thing is, when you put the bowl on the mold, you want to make sure it's in the center. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it around, and I'll just show you how pretty that's beginning to look. Okay, it's beginning to look very pretty. Now I'm going to needle felt that again as I'm shaping the bowl. And I'm going to turn it like this, do the sides this way with keeping the needle straight up and down. It's beginning to look really beautiful. Okay, now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to focus on my edges. This is how I do it. I do the edge. Some of these things I do last, and I'm loving the inside. Now I'm thinking it could use just a tiny bit more over on this side of the red, but I kind of want red and purple. So I would like one of these little strands again to give me just a little bit of the texture. So I'm going to cover that a little bit. Just place it where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to turn it towards me so I can needle felt it. And my little curly Q needs a tiny bit of splay to adhere it. You know, you can design your bowls with beads and buttons. I did that a lot when I was selling these. So, I'll get back into the swing of all of that. And that was a lot of years ago, guys. Look how pretty that is, you see? Now the bottom part could use a little purple, but they're not going to see that. They might see the purple or the red more on the edges. So now what I'm going to do is focus on the edges. So that's what we're going to do right now. And so with that, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to fold these edges a tiny bit towards me. And I'm kind of trying to leave it so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of pushing that very gently towards me. And basically what it is folding. I'm folding those edges. You see that? Those are folded. And then what I'm going to do is I want to make sure my edging is, you can do two things. It can be even or it can be uneven. It's up to you. Or it can be like this. It can be a little rough around the edges. You see right there, that's not perfect. But that's not how I wanted it either. That's my signature, is a little bit raw around the edges. Kind of like me. So that's kind of how I make them. Now, okay, granted, look, if you're an artist and you like raw around the edges and you go in and show some of these whatever, I wouldn't call it a boutique, or there's different types of galleries. It could be a gallery, it could be a boutique, it could be a little country store, whatever it is, the venue that you're trying to get your stuff in. So you want to, there's some I know when I walk in that absolutely not, my stuff is not going to fit in here. Because what they'll have is more of a craft with a perfect cookie cutter. And that's more of a touristy type deal. And then there'll be others that could be touristy too, but they'll be more allowing for the artist's signature, okay? And allowing for the creativity and a little bit rough around the edges, the bohemian type deal. They'll allow. So if you ask and you misjudge the venue and they say no, never, ever, ever feel that your work isn't good enough. It's just because it's a different style. That's all that's going on. So, and that is the way it is. So if you get yourself a few stores, then you're doing good, because you want to keep doing your work and, you know, add to what you have there. Okay, so see, this one has a little fold right there. So what I have to do is put a little splay. You know, and there's a number of ways that you can do this. I'm going to use the little ball there to give me a little support to make that. And I want to really get that adhered really, really well. And I like the little flower. I may add more little flowers here. So we just may do that. But I'm loving the little colors, and I'll probably work on this a little bit more after our little show here. But this is basically how you make a bowl, and you need to take your time, make sure you're shaping it the way you want, and then you can put little bows on it or whatever you want. But so this bowl, after I get off of the show, what I'm going to do is pull it up. I'm going to maybe pull it up even a little more, give it a little more depth. And yes, you can do something like this too. You can make it, give it 4 little edges. See that? And the way you do that is just pinch it. Or I could just pinch a couple of sides of it and make it like that, kind of like a little pea pod. So I'm going to work on that one a little bit. And so the other thing you can do is with these bowls is you can crochet little pieces of whatever it is you want, flowers, or you can embroider French knots into them. So you can make them as beautiful as you want. I like this. This is 90% done. It needs 10% of refining and kind of just a little bit more needle felting around the edges. But this is a lovely. I'm going to add more texture to it. And so when this little piece, this is lovely. When this little piece is done, it will have a little top like this, only it will be maybe with a little red bow, so like that. So anyway, I hope that helped you today. And what we'll do is we'll jump back on here because we've already been on for quite some time, I guess, for about an hour because the music video went off. So yeah. So with that, I wish you love and light. And let me know if you have any questions, you have any ideas. I think I'm going to download a video I did this morning over on TikTok about the chakra colors and meditation. It's more of a video I did on for those. It's more like of a pep talk, kind of motivational, where during the holidays people feel stuck and they feel lonely and they feel depressed. Everything is exemplified during the holidays. So I was just talking like that I may drop that over to Mella's vlog. That's one of my other side channels. But thank you so much for being with me. And yeah, so we have the class coming up in Rivers Art. There are still seats if you want to join us, if you're in Vermont, coming to Vermont. And that's in Morrisville, Vermont. So with that, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for subscribing. It's totally free. Jump on board. And I'll see you in the next one. Sorry about that, guys.